Hello everyone. Today's talk is titled Falling in Duality. And so we want to, as a human being and a present human experience, observe the concept of duality because it seems to be all around us. We seem to look at the world and we're not one entity, it seems. But it seems that people are believing that we are each so individual that our ends never meet. A great task for a being who has manifested in a reality where there is individuality and duality is the consideration that as he works with his life force, as you are living, there is something happening in your moment of being. There is something always there. That is why you are here. How can your awareness be stationed here and not be flying around in the cosmos? Because your awareness to the reality has been this conscious. But if you become subtle, you begin to see that reality shifts because the nature of being shifts, because the nature of awareness shifts. You're no longer looking at things in two, but they have become one, and it's as if you were the origination of the oneness of this world. This world did not know where to go. Mankind was the valve, the greatest opening, the self-aware gate for human understanding to move beyond itself. Every being is looking at the self-awareness of man and getting inspired. How inspired are you by your self-awareness, dear being? Now, it's important that when we talk about something, what is the intention of talking about it? And it is to provide an imagery in which you can utilize. That is simply it. Now, the imagery I will suggest is that when we talk about something, let's say duality, there is a certain audience. And so how does the audience look like? And we see our own interpretation in the world around us. And it becomes crucial to notice that when you observe duality, what is the point of observing? And there is two. One, you can choose to look at your multidimensionality and confront duality and see what's beyond your eyes. Or you can go get a bit of inspiration of that and come back and be more efficient in this worldly, in more of a materialistic life. It's a choice. You can live a more materialistic life, you can live a more non-materialistic life. And there's many, many worlds in between. So the consideration of how our experience is the communication that is our world is the significance where you see duality can melt. Duality is not a solid frame. You are changing, you're shifting, and as you spiral into the core of your being, you're brought down to a moment where your last standing duality, the only thing that is in this world making your world as if it's two, the inspiration that gave you two eyes. You will see, you will be in that moment. And so there would be no birth or death because consciousness has moved beyond. And so you see the choice was a choice of manifestation and you took it. And so welcome. So in our individuality, man has not lost his collectivity, and man thinking that he is not a collective being is his ridiculous way of not confronting the core of his being. It's as if the greatest speech was the volcano, was that leaf falling off a tree, was that moment where the human being realized he was a being first. Then humanity could walk in his eyes. Being aware of this sense of knowing, you see that because you're aware, you've been choosing how you're taking in the world being separate. You have an ability to constantly update your view. Do you see? The observance is the gift of man to look and to perceive and then to move beyond. Man has not just been creating worlds, but man has been the world's creator. Do not be bothered by anything outside of you. For if it was all inside, there never was an inside. Your freedom It's beyond the definitions that chained you. And so, because man built chains, man can break it instantly. This duality is waiting for your observance. This reality is waiting for your observance. Elevate your consciousness as your beingness, your sense of expression in this life goes to more of a harmonious truth, where every moment your truth is in front of your eyes. The God that you seek is not only in your book or when you pray, but every moment that you are alive. Life cannot hide itself from itself, and so man will see the idea of the human being only an individual form was the lie. The construction and the conception goes so far as to be the detachment of the world. And so when you're there in the moment where your silence and stillness have kept all the noise and movement, there you will see that the self of selves was beyond the interpretation of oneself, which we're considering to be this human form. Discover the nature of your experience and trust your intuition. In such a manner, then you will develop the trust and the realities required to move towards your greater experience. Think of it this way. Man has in one way an ability to plan for his life as if, okay, I'm going to go do this job and make this money, do this thing, and very linearly just do his stuff and, suddenly walk to the grave and transition into his next formal recognition. But you will see, I guess, and what Mr. Within is trying to communicate, that you are your world. There is no separation, and the unity was there before interpretation could be done. You are undefinable. Now you tell me how precious and how worthy you are of the greatest experiences in this life. Man needs honesty. Man needs silence. And so if the emptiness of the world is the only thing you're looking at, look at it well. If you feel there's nothing here for you, look at it well and ask your being, why are you here? And you will see something will shake, because every interpretation that we thought was the next staircase to truth was the beginning of the end. That when you never got off your chair, the journey had not begun. It's as if this physical reality is like man is sitting on a chair and he's just visualizing, okay, what if I go to the bus stop and suddenly the bus stop's like, what if I just become this human manifestation, And suddenly as you become aware that, oh my God, I'm not just a character in the story, I'm an encompassment of everything that is holistic to me, you suddenly see that you're taken back to a sense of release and relief and letting go and surrender, which has been said in many devotional texts. Even religion has its more core philosophy, devotion, love. What is love? Is that just, is that just a random image? Or does that stand for what has been keeping the human intelligence alive, not the human desire or satisfaction? Your happiness is temporal and is based on your generation. When you begin thinking for the human species, you need to begin moving beyond yourself. You're no longer bothered by not having enough. You're like, what is humanity getting? What is humanity getting aside from my experience? How is my experience contributing to this world? And then you see that the contribution has been everything you have done, and it's just your next step that needs to be done in joy. You see, it is the framework of an individual mind and an ego construct, as many have said, to give itself a lack of permission and lack of life. When we concept death as the way the mainstream does, we are considering it as a lack of life, but it is not, because life is very multidimensional, and so are you. You will see that conception was the opening. And so, if it is, where are you? Learn from your existence. There is no greater teacher, for your existence is your whole moment. And as the moment is usually for the human being described by the sound and the movements, as the human being considers these two, when he is thrown into an ocean of stillness and silence of his being, he begins to see that there was never anything wrong with something being wrong. In that, in the stillness, your hand let go of what you were gripping so hard, the ideology you thought was the right ideology and the only ideology, and you will see you will let go. You will let go of all forms that have given you a shape, and you will be like, my question is shapeless. And may an illusion based on individuality not dare answer such a shapeless question. It must know it, that the answer is shapeless too. And so, infinity was always you. I hope this talk has served you. Duality is not something to really talk about, it is something to observe in your experience. And so you will begin to see that once you take yourself into your solitude and then observe your life, and then come back into the noise, and then take yourself into a deeper sense of solitude, as if we are following the simple harmonies of the golden ratio, you begin to see that the harmony that is keeping us now has always kept us here. Where can this existential intelligence go? Nowhere else but here. Much blessing.